The process is so unpredictable, candidates don't know if they're applying for a job or auditioning for Ninja Warrior. But you do manage to recruit someone. But once they're in, they find out the culture is all last minute panics and late nights, and they disappear faster than a free buffet at a conference. So if any of that sounds familiar, that's what happens when recruitment is left to chance. But recruitment isn't about luck. It's about having a system. And today, I'm going to share the blueprint to getting it right. But first off, just want to talk a little bit about the skills shortage in the UK at the moment. So I've seen many peaks and troughs during my 25 years in the recruitment industry, but I think it's fair to say that we're in a bit of a slow market right now. There's a lot of uncertainty around. Global economic forecasts have been reduced. No one knows what Trump is going to do next. Fake news, fake tariffs, fake tan, or maybe fake news about fake tariffs on fake tan. But despite that, there's still relatively low unemployment in the UK. Most of us are working. But we've still got a shortage of engineers. Can I just see a quick show of hands? Who's been involved in a recruitment process over the last couple of years and struggled to find enough quality candidates? Most of you here. That's why you're here, obviously. Well, you're not alone. And it's not just engineering. There are 167 occupations on the UK government shortlist at the moment. But the bad news is things are not about to get any better. So this is a graph from Population Pyramid, and it's a graph of the population distributed by age group. This is from 2015, 10 years ago. Graph looks fairly uniform. Male on the left, female on the right. There we go. And this first arrow indicates where people generally enter the workforce. Second arrow is general age where people leave the workforce. So graph is fairly uniform, but it thins out a bit towards the late 50s for obvious reasons. Now, fast forward to today, and I don't know if you saw the change in the graph, but the population has shifted upwards. People are living longer, and we've got less young people coming through to join the workforce. Now, last year was the first year on record where the UK produced more 65-year-olds than 20-year-olds. And this is obviously a problem for government and why we're hearing so much about the pension crisis at the moment. The bad news is things are not about to get any better. So this is 2035. And again, people are living longer into their 60s and 70s, or predicted to anyway. And again, less youngsters coming through. So why is this happening? Well, we've had a declining birth rate in the UK since 2010. Secondly, Brexit has been an issue. Prior to the Brexit vote in 2016, we were recruiting lots of young engineers from Europe, Greece, France, Spain, Italy, Bulgaria, and that tap pretty much turned off on the day of the Brexit vote in 2016. We were also, on the day of the Brexit vote, residents in the UK, Europeans, were cancelling interviews on that day because they're worried about their future. Also, people retired early during COVID. That was a bit of a skills drain, particularly for electronics engineers. Visas are getting more expensive. Not many of our clients are sponsoring visas at the moment because of the cost. And unfortunately, some of the redundancies we've seen over the last couple of years, the first people to go were on sponsored visas. So it looks like we're going to have this ongoing war for talent. We're going to have to do more with less as a company, as a country anyway, to grow. So what is the answer? Well, the obvious answers point towards AI, robotics, automation, but are we embracing it quickly enough? This is a poll that I ran on LinkedIn a few months back, asking software engineers how often they're using ChatGPT or other similar tools to generate code. And the results were quite surprising. More than a third are not using it at all. But when I delved down into the respondents' profiles, it was clear that the people that use it on a more regular basis were your sort of higher level software engineers, web developers, and the embedded software guys, not so much. It kind of makes sense. But there are also some negative comments. As soon as you start using it, you'll become complacent and start losing the skill of writing software and thinking through the problem. Soon enough, we'll have AI writing the software, checking the software because it's quicker and easier and because we're all lazy. But I don't think this is a good place to be heading towards. It will take less and less skill to produce working software, and inevitably there will be fewer and fewer jobs available for what's otherwise a highly skilled occupation. Let's not destroy our own futures and potential by handing over this skill. Now, this is obviously from a software engineer who's worried about AI taking his job. But we've seen the same arguments through the generations. Tractors didn't replace farmers, spreadsheets didn't replace accountants. They just made them more productive. Now, no one knows where AI is inevitably going to take us, but it's here to stay. We need to embrace it. But assuming that you do want some humans in your business going forward, how do you recruit the best ones? Well, I've seen recruitment done in countless ways during my 25 years in the industry. But one thing I've noticed about the top companies is they get five things absolutely right. Now, every company is unique and the process will need to be tailored accordingly. But these five things are the foundation to any successful dream team. So number one, clarity. Effective hiring managers have a clear understanding of what they're looking for in a new hire. If there's any uncertainty around what the minimum viable candidate looks like, then this can cause problems during the search stage. One of the questions we always ask on a briefing call is, what are the baseline skills required for this role? Now, if he or she starts to list off a bunch of the desirables, then this can be a cause for concern. Do they really know what they're looking for? Job specs can often be written like a wish list for the perfect person. Adverts can be the same. If they're too demanding or unrealistic or unclear, then this can deter candidates from applying. Other things that can throw a spanner in the works are different stakeholders getting involved at different stages of the process with a different view on what this person should look like. So it's essential that everyone involved in the recruitment process is clearly aligned on the essential criteria before the search takes place. This allows clear communication with the candidates, avoids wasting time on irrelevant CVs, and ensures that everyone who is put in front of the manager will be of interest. So next one. The best candidates aren't just looking for a job, they're looking for the right opportunity. Now, recruitment is a two-way sales process. The best companies are looking for the best people, and the best people are looking for the best jobs, cultures, organizations, and of course, salary and package is important. Now, not every company can offer the highest salaries, and perhaps your benefits package isn't great either. So what is it that you're offering? Another question we ask during a briefing call is, what are the best things about this job? How can we sell it to potential applicants? Why are they going to leave their current job to join you? And we get varying answers to this question. Some good, some not so good. Now, a standard answer might look something like, well, we're really nice people, we've got good benefits, we have a good product, we have a good Christmas party. Now, to be honest with you, not a lot of benefits packages stand out. The ones that do are either very comprehensive, they have everything, or they have one or two items that are particularly attractive, like 35 days holiday or 10% pension. Sometimes it is the case after we've taken a briefing. So you're looking for a senior FPGA engineer. You don't want to pay more than 55K. And the way you want me to sell this is that you've got death in service and a good Christmas party. Well, I like a challenge, but come on. Now, I spoke to a sales director recently who gave me a really good answer to this question. He works for a distributor. They're part of a larger group of companies, turn over about 160 million. They're here today, actually. And he started off by telling me about his years in the business, how all the good things that it allowed him to do, how when this person came in, they could build a niche for themselves, how they could potentially grow a team in the future. how they would be rewarded for the value that they brought to the business, how the company did things better than anyone else. And he went on for 3 or 4 minutes, and I could tell he was really passionate about the business and its cause. And that got me excited about the role. And I wanted to apply. But that also got me excited to recruit for the position, and I can transfer that feeling onto candidates to get them excited. So the key point I'm making here is that it's a real asset to the business if everyone involved in the recruitment process can clearly articulate the best things about the company and the job. Now, if you're wondering what benefits are candidates interested in 2025, well, in January, we asked everyone what 2 company benefits are most important to you. Well, we identified about 20 in total, but there were 4 standout, with hybrid working being the most popular. Now, this wasn't a surprise to us because it's one of the most commonly asked questions by candidates when we're briefing them on a role. What is the hybrid working policy? People want flexibility. And we also analysed our clients' benefits packages and found that only 38% are actually offering hybrid working, despite it being the most popular. How times change. If we'd have done this survey in early 2010, no one knew what hybrid working was. Now, I'm not saying that you definitely need to offer hybrid working to build a dream team, but it definitely helps. There are pools of people out there that either want full remote or some flexibility. I prefer to go to the office. I find I'm much more productive in the office than working from home. But other people in the office, they like the flexibility. Now, in 2022, we organised a roundtable discussion. We invited various engineering and HR leaders to talk about their thoughts, insights, and experience of hybrid working models. It was a fascinating discussion, too much to list here, but we have compiled a document with all the key points, which I can send to you for free. Just drop me an email. I'll send you a copy. This could be very useful if you are planning to create a hybrid work policy or modify an existing one. And on the subject of webinars, this is something that we like to do outside of just filling jobs. Every quarter, we host a webinar on a topic that we think is going to be useful to our clients or candidates. Some we host ourselves, some we bring in external speakers. We've had some quite high-profile speakers over the years. We've had Amanda Potter, who is a business psychologist, talking about building resilient teams and avoiding burnout. Best-selling author Russell Beck on retention. Behavioural economist Roger Martin Fagg give us some insights into the economy and where it's heading. And for our last session, we had international speaking coach David Thomas. This chap is also a Guinness World Record holder, a memory champion. He can recite pi to 22,500 digits. I don't know about you, but I can't remember my wife's birthday. I don't know how he does it. But there's lots of value to be had from these webinars. They're completely free. And if you'd like to find out about our future ones, there's a sign-up link at the bottom of our website, enterpriserecruitment.com. So on to our third pillar, interviewing. So the most efficient companies set themselves turnaround times at each stage of the process. So CV review, CV feedback, interview feedback, offer, paperwork out, and so on. Because they know that time kills all deals and they don't want to miss out on the best talent. Now, one of my clients asked me in to discuss their process recently, and they were operating a 1-stage process, a 2-hour interview, and making a decision from that. Very efficient for me. I only had to arrange 1 interview for each candidate. Very efficient for the candidate. They only had to attend 1 interview. But their question to me was, if we realise things are not really working out after 30 minutes, would it be okay to cut the interview short? Effectively, on occasion, they were wasting 90 minutes of their engineers' time speaking to people that really weren't going to make it through the process. So my answer to them was, well, let's change the system. So we're now operating a 2-stage process, 30-minute first interview, followed by a 90-minute second interview. So it's important that your interview process is efficient for everyone concerned. And 2 stages is pretty much industry standard among engineering firms at the moment. Any more than 3 stages, and candidates can start to get frustrated. So what makes an effective interview process? So we just talked about efficiency. So next, you want to be able to identify the right candidates. So how do you identify the right candidates? Again, focus on 3 things. First, have they got the technical skills and experience to do the role? Second, have they got the right attitude? Are they going to work well with your team? Are they going to thrive in your environment? And take some time to understand their motivations and ambitions. Does that fit with your offering? If you focus on these 3 things, then you have a greater chance of a long-term success. But this is if you want to identify the right candidates. What if you want to build a team that is innovative, is passionate about learning, will grow with the role, will grow into future roles or leadership positions? Well, what I've just described there is having a growth mindset. Now, having a growth mindset could be the most important single attribute of any future hire. So that's why we've produced a guide that you can use with 14 interview questions to interview for a growth mindset. And feedback from our clients has been that this can be the difference between a good hire and a great hire. Once again, send me an email. I can send you a copy of this for free. So third point on what makes an effective interview process, you want the candidate to have an enjoyable experience. Whatever the outcome, you want candidates to be so impressed by your organization and its people that they tell other people. Now, sadly, that's not always the case. Now, one thing you can do is imagine if you're running an interview, imagine the candidate is going to score you on these 4 questions after the interview. So no one enjoys an interview. It feels like it's been made up on the spot. So firstly, make sure you do your preparation. Sometimes we do a debrief of candidates after an interview and they haven't learned anything new about the company or the role. So make sure it's informative for them as well as you. We've talked about selling the role. So make sure you include this as part of your interview process. And most people like to talk about themselves. So find out something that they are passionate about and let them go deep. And if they say something impressive, acknowledge that. A couple more things on interview and creating a good impression. Make sure you have your best team members involved in the interview process. You want any future employees to meet as many of your A players as possible. Even if it's just a quick hello on the tour round or a coffee, get them involved. Great engineers want to work with other great engineers at the end of the day. And lastly, always, always, always provide feedback. If someone has taken the time, effort, and energy to interview with you, potentially even taken a day off work, the least you can do is provide some constructive feedback. We can help you with that. Right, so on to our fourth pillar, sourcing. Now, this can be the most challenging and time-consuming of the 5 pillars, but it's also the easiest to outsource. Now, your sourcing process is very much going to depend on the volume and type of roles that you're recruiting for. But chances are, if you want the top talent and you want to find them fast, you're going to need to partner with a specialist recruitment agency who's already speaking to the type of candidates that you're looking for. Now, in 2025, a recruitment agency doesn't just send you CVs from a job board. They'll have access to the whole of the market. They'll be actively seeking out passive candidates, and any candidates will be pre-screened before they make it to your desk, saving you a lot of time and hassle. Now, sourcing can be challenging. There are lots of moving parts, and we're dealing with humans at the end of the day, and they can be emotional and do unpredictable things. Now, a few years ago, we recruited a contractor for one of our clients, small electronics firm. We handled all of their recruitment. And for some reason, the contractor and the company fell out at the end of the contract. I think it was over some expenses. And we got a call from Colin, the CTO, and he said, would you mind giving the contractor a call? He's changed a password on a laptop and we'd like to find out what it is. Okay, no problem. We'll give him a call. Explain the situation. Would you tell us the password, please? And he said, sure. Tell Colin the password is Colin, go fuck yourself. Well, so we phoned Colin back and said, Colin, this is a bit awkward, but the contractor said the password is Colin, go fuck yourself. Now, luckily for us, Colin saw the funny side and we still work with Colin to this day. And if you're wondering, no, the password didn't work. So next, I'd like to speak to you about a dream team that I've built, not in business, but in grassroots football. This is me on the right, obviously. This is my son, Josh, on the left. This was 2 years ago. He was 16 at the time. We'd just done the league and cup double for the second year in a row. But things weren't always like this. They started off as tiny 5-year-olds, picking daisies, picking their nose, me picking them up off the floor, crying. Come on, it really wasn't that bad a tackle. I got the ball first. We had some good players, but we were nowhere near a dream team at this point. But we always turned up. We always tried to improve, and it was fun. We had a good culture. The kids liked it, the coaches loved it, and so did the parents. That might have been because they got 2 hours free childcare every weekend. But as the boys got older, got into secondary school, we needed some more players. We were going up to 11 aside. It was a few weeks before the season was to start, and we were worried we might have to fold the team, but we really wanted to keep this team going. Luckily, through some friends the boys had made at their new schools, we managed to recruit 2 new players. Now, at this point, we'd have taken anyone who could put the boots on the right feet, but these 2 lads happened to be really good, and it made a difference. And then we found another couple of players, and all of a sudden we were competing with the top teams. And we actually finished joint top that year. But through that success, we managed to recruit some more players. And then for the next 2 years, we were on an unbeaten run and won the league and cup double. Now, I would love to tell you that it was my expert recruitment skills that built that team, but no, it was culture. And that's one of the many parallels I've seen between business and grassroots teams. All great teams have great cultures. And that's why it's the 5th pillar. So just to recap, if you want to build a dream team, firstly, you need to be clear about what it is you're looking for. Second, you need to know what it is you're offering and how to sell that. Thirdly, you need to nail your interview technique. Fourth, you need to partner with a specialist recruitment agency. I know a fantastic one. They're at Stand Day 11. And fifth, if you want to retain this dream team, you need to build a great culture. So if you want to delve deeper into anything I've spoken about today, or you just want to speak about recruitment in general or business, grassroots football, we're at Stand Day 11. I'd love to help you build a dream team. Thank you.